Welcome back to just another solo podcast with Luke Beattie. That's me and Karl Jensen. G'day, Karl.
How you going, Luke?
Good. What's news this week?
Lots of travelling, road shows, CEC events, smart energy events. There was Next Gen in Sydney. So pretty good turnout for that one. That's a new CEC event. I reckon there probably would have been 3,000 or 4,000 people there, probably because it was raining in Sydney, just for something different.
And I heard the Great Solar Business podcast with Nigel Morris and Liam Ricketts, and that was really good. Had some useful information about what's going on with panels and supply chain stuff. But I just thought, we're used to doing this from home with a beer in our hand, and I think they did it in front of an audience.
I'm sure we'd manage if we had to do it, Luke.
And the other thing, man, like from the last episode with Thomas Bywater from Jinko Solar, I was quite disappointed because he gave a bit of a sign-off in Mandarin after telling us he was a fluent speaker. When I downloaded the recording, it didn't come through. So it was all fuzzy and mucked up. So that would have capped it off. But thanks again to Thomas for coming on. And today's special guest is Kosta Bourandanis, one of the founders of Solar Cutters. I can say that he's currently unemployed, I think is the way to go, but I don't think you'll be in a Centrelink queue anytime soon. Kosta, how you doing?
Going well, Luke, in between jobs. Yeah, another gardening leave, whatever they call it. So, yeah, it's always good to have a bit of a break and freshen up before the next challenge. And nice to hear and see you and Karl, not like we don't see each other enough.
When do you start the new role?
Early September. So, yeah, obviously just finished up at Supply Partners at Energy Next, that conference Karl was talking about. Finished that a week and a half ago. And, yeah, September 5th, I'll get cracking with RACV. So something a bit different to all the wholesale shenanigans I've done for just as long as you guys sort of thing, the last 10 years.
So what are you doing in the meantime?
Chores around the house. Like, I'm not that handy, but I've got a fair bit of tools in my tool bag. Just got to work out what goes where, what goes in which hole, standard sort of stuff you sort of do. Fix the letterbox, fixing our fence, put together a gas heater. So, yeah, all sort of masculine stuff that is expected of me in the household, yeah.
I'm not going to lie, mate, it sounds tough.
Oh, it is. It's tougher than, I guess, travelling around the world, having espresso martinis and Grey Goose from the bottle, but someone's got to do it.
And that's been some of the highlights, yeah? So you mentioned you've been in the solar game for over 10 years, and one of the highlights, or some of the highlights, have been the junkets, the travelling around, and you've been from the US to Europe, around Australia.
All over. Like it definitely has been the best part of the job. We've all been pretty lucky. Like I've been probably at China 4 or 5 times, Europe a bit more, America 3 or 4, and then that's not including everything within Australia. So, yeah, like factory tours and solar events, and obviously after our activity, it's been great fun, like traveling the world for nice restaurants and fine dining, some bars and nightclubs, and with people that we all know here from Australia, celebrating, I guess, everyone's success in this fantastic industry. So, yeah, that's obviously one of the biggest highlights I've had in my life, is getting to know a lot of you guys, a lot of the customers, a lot of the manufacturers and good people in the industry, letting our hair down.
And you always seem to be an organiser. I've been on a couple of trips where you have to Europe, and in the WhatsApp groups, you're the one who's corralling everyone and herding cats, basically. Have you always been that way?
Yeah, I think so. Like, it was good to be organised, and I guess not being organised, yes, stresses me out a fair bit. Even though we went away when I left Energy Matters and the first time and took 6 months off when we travelled Europe for 4 months, I pretty much wanted to plan every day, like just maybe feel anxious not knowing what you wanted to do. But yeah, like it's just nice to have some sort of structure to things. But look, especially when you're going overseas, and a lot of these people haven't been to the same places, don't really know where the go-to functions and events are. And if we can gather them all around, bring them together, the more the merrier. Like, we've had some great times. The Intersolar trip in Munich, we were all there 3 years ago when it was bloody freaking raining and cold, like unheard of. It was the early one in May. We all went to, it was Augustine Keller, wasn't it? The one with that big church thing inside. Yeah, I was like, God, there had to be 50, 60 at least of us in that hall together. And like, it was awesome, all from all over Australia. Not everyone necessarily knew each other, but yeah, we brought everyone together and celebrating success. And I think the Australians from the solar industry have got a pretty good reputation for themselves.
I think that particular trip, Kosta, it's the only chance that you get to spend a whole week with your customers. That's a great thing for us as wholesalers. You know, we get a lot of time, whereas back here in Australia, everyone's too busy. And sometimes we find that our very best customers are so busy that they haven't got time to see us. If they can get there, they learn a bit, they can wind down a bit, and obviously see the factories and that sort of stuff. It's great. I love that trip.
You're stuck with them for the 24/7 sort of thing. Like, whereas over here, like, I got an hour, I've got 2 hours, we can have a lunch, sit down, have a chat, but life sort of goes on. Over there, it's usually a person from a business, and it's they've all pretty much invested in you and the organisation and what you got planned for them. So yeah, you definitely get to know people a lot more and a lot better. And I'm pretty sort of happy to say that some of the best relations I've got in this industry are from some of these trips. We've got to know a lot of the great people within it, and yeah, I guess I'm very fortunate that we've got to do a lot of that. And I guess you guys will feel the same way.
The phrase I use is that you've been in the trenches with them. You absolutely have a lot of fun, but let's say into Solar Europe, where you're busy all day doing either trade show floor or factory tours and something similar, and then dinner goes into drinks, goes into late nights, goes into early mornings again. And after you pull a week of that, a week plus, you've been in the trenches, you get to know people really well.
Of the 20 hours a day, yeah. 20 hours a week. Awesome.
Have you got any cracker stories for us, Kosta, on one of these trips?
Stuff that's going to be published, like
keep it, stuff that can be published.
Like some of the best experiences, like the Intersol has been so many of them. Like with the year before, it must have been 2016 or 2017. That Irish bar next door to the Aussie bar, I can't remember what it's called. Like, you know, there's back to back, and like there was a whole bunch of us just screaming out like loud bogans, like karaoke sort of songs in the Irish bar, and like it was bloody awesome. Like it's sides of people you never really sort of knew. And look, obviously people having a couple of drinks, but like it's not really that sort of atmosphere. But it's people just sort of letting their hair down and just enjoying each other, and just it's stuff that I'm going to say it again. Like, we're so grateful to do, and it's a big part of the job. And like the wholesale game, which obviously you guys are in, and I've done for a while. Like, that's something I guess that you can't really sort of, I guess, put a price on and put a value on. And if you can get to know the customers, build those relationships in these sort of environments, it's going to go a long way for you both are succeeding, getting a lot of value out of that transactional relationship as well. So yeah, that's been phenomenal. The Solar Juice event we did, that, look, and I'll say it, like, I basically organised the whole thing. Look, and Rami funded it along with the sponsors. The elite retreat we did in Port Douglas was unbelievable. We had sponsorship from some of the key manufacturers, like Fronius and REC and so forth, and SMA. On that one, the last day, we actually paid for all the customers and some of the staff were around to go to the Great Barrier Reef for a snorkeling sort of thing. And that was awesome. Like, and with those sort of things, which we've had done in the past at Energy Matters, as you guys know, through Byron Bay and other places, it got, the families, the kids, like everybody really involved and hanging out and doing something, having some fun, and not really worrying about work and worrying about what's back home, back in the office. It's enjoying the moment, enjoying life. And I guess the last couple of years been pretty hard on everyone for a variety of reasons, but you really you do miss it when we've been sort of locked up for so long, especially here in Victoria. You really appreciate these sort of little things.
You're known to have a good reputation for business to business as a wholesaler, but also across the industry where you're partnering with people. What do you think is the key to first establishing those relationships, but then keeping them, apart from junkets?
Yeah, look, it's not all about that, but like, I guess, look, it does help. Everyone likes to be wined and dined and treated well. But ever since I started at Energy Matters through, with obviously under James Walker at Apollo Energy, he was always sort of really strong on the relationships. I saw it as soon as I started. You could see he was hanging out, spending time with some of our biggest customers at the time, because I guess he built those connections through the business and ended up becoming really good friends of him and obviously the business. So I guess that was the biggest thing I picked up really early on, that focus on the relationship, get to know the people, because there's some really good people in the industry. And then, if you can build that rapport and get to know them and I guess show the customer or the manufacturer or the partner the genuineness of your intentions, they know what's good, they know what's bad. And I guess we've all worked for companies that have pushed really positive agendas and good products and high quality solutions. And the rest sort of just follows after that. So the strength and all the focus for me has always been on the relationship, and I guess just caring for them, because you just hear it far too often across a variety of segments throughout the industry and other industries, that people just aren't appreciated. And that's something I personally didn't want to have a reputation for. I just wanted to make the customers feel loved and got to know them, and I guess have that person that could just speak to at any sort of time that could support them and be reliable for that person. So I guess I've taken that with me throughout, I guess, my development, and yes, built some really strong relationships. And that's why now, like, it's just where every sort of year, putting COVID to the side, like there's groups of us talking about, oh, where's the next event we can go to? Can we go to Vegas again? Can we go to Munich again? Can we go to wherever it is? We know we just get on like a house on fire. Business is obviously important. Everyone's got to make money and be successful, but there's obviously a balance in time for both. And if you can really put your best foot forward from a relationship point of view, I firmly believe the rest of it will take care of itself. There's some really smart people in the industry, a lot smarter than me, a lot smarter than both of you guys. So there's no point trying to reinvent the wheel in that respect, but there's something that I guess you can really stand out on your own with, and that's having a strong relationship and I guess core to yourself and ethical way of conducting business and holding relationships. And that's, I guess, something I've really enjoyed. Has this been the same for you guys? Like, you obviously came under the tutelage of Walker and the Apollo crew. Like, is that what you guys got out of it as well?
Yeah, I remember standing at the Solar Cutters event at Smart Energy in Sydney with Walker. And I looked around the room and I said, James, how many people in this room do you think that you've employed over the years? And he's like, I don't know what the number is. It's probably about 50 in the room. I think it's a mix between both, where part of it is learning from people like that and being mentored about doing the relationship stuff. But I also think that some people are more geared towards it because of how they're wired and their character.
Yeah, and it's obviously so difficult to build loyalty, I guess, with anything, as we all sort of know. But you can reap the rewards, and as we sort of saw, and like the work you and Karl did with Infinite 7-8 years ago, like how quickly they became the biggest retailer in Western Australia, and like through both of your support and the supply chain, I guess, IP that you guys gave them, and the intel and the education you supported them with, like you saw how much they grew and you saw how loyal they were. And for one of the biggest retailers in the country and obviously in Western Australia, they were a significant part of that Apollo Energy business, Energy Matters business, for a long time.
It's just a pity they went to the dark side, Costa?
It's a shame. Like, and you look for when we start, like how many of those really strong businesses exist, and there's not that many of them. It is sad, but there's some, I guess, solace you can take. There's a lot of these good people that haven't been lost in the industry, and that's something that would have been a lot sadder, but a lot of them have sort of landed on their feet through other ventures and businesses, which is ultimately a good thing, because there's so much history we all have together.
Without naming names, they were the largest installer of a particular brand of inverter in the country. And I heard the year before they closed down, they changed 800 of them with warranty items, which I'm guessing if you're owned by an offshore business and they look at it and they say, well, hang on, you guys have had to change 800 inverters and we've got 35,000 of them. There is, like we were talking to Jack Hooper from Energy about the cost of honouring those warranties and servicing those customers. And ultimately, it sank that business.
It's hard. Like, no one really sort of knows, I guess, if everyone's making the right decision with products. But look, I guess now people are better educated than they were probably a decade or so ago. So you'd like to think that less of these mistakes are made and people are really thinking long and hard of what the best options are for them, and not, I guess, be bamboozled by glitzy sales pitches and
long warranties. I'm just waiting for the lifetime warranty on solar panels and inverters.
No, don't get us started on
we're talking about great companies that haven't continued in the market that will honour warranties, but there's been so many companies go. Is it ludicrous to have 25-year warranties even? What consumer product is,
but why?
Is enough? Is 15 years as a cap on any solar product, is that enough?
But all electrical goods are pretty much sort of standard 12-year warranty. What a car's like a 2 or 3 year warranty, and like a panel on your roof that costs $200, it's a 40-year warranty now. Some of them, like it's not needed, and it's a scary prospect. And look, a lot of these products aren't necessarily bad, but look, you just don't know. It's such a long time to sort of think about. And Karl obviously joining supply partners. Like we did a lot of marketing with some of the phono stuff, and there was 400 panel manufacturers on the CC list in 2013, and now less than 100. So that's not even 10 years ago, and you've lost 75% of the bloody panel manufacturers. So all these warranties people are giving, it's sort of what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years' time. And there's businesses that haven't been around for as long as these warranty periods. So how are people buying this, and how are people sort of thinking that's a safe investment? And again, I'm not saying these are bad products, but the educated decision or the smart money surely has to be elsewhere. And without naming, obviously, names in particular, that's, I guess, a Pandora's box that everyone's sort of just waiting to be opened and potentially cause some issues.
Yeah, look, it's definitely on the installer's mind. Particularly, there's one manufacturer that you can jump on their website and you can buy a 25-year warranty for a 5 kilowatt inverter for less than $200. And there's just absolutely no chance in hell that the inverter is going to last that long. So does this mean that the inverter costs $200 and I think they're going to replace it once or twice? Staggering.
There's probably some mathematicians and accountants working it out, like, what's the percentage failure rate? And in 5-10 years' time, it's going to cost us this much to make an inverter. And it's probably a bit of gambling. And like, if the calculations are off, that's going to get potentially some of these companies might cop it. But it's sort of scary to think about because there's more and more numbers, and Australia's just one sort of small part, like our sort of market here. Like, look at California's, like, I don't know how much more, but it's significantly more than Australia as a whole. And we're out here in the middle of sort of nowhere compared to sort of Europe. I guess we've got that easy access to China, but who's to say what things might change from a trade perspective, and things might have some more challenges going ahead.
Yeah, well, we've talked about this offline, but my mum's IG60 needed a new power stack, so I swapped it out. No problem. Got the part from Fronius. If I was a solar installer, I could bill that customer for that repeat visit 7 years down the line. Customer's happy to see me. I'm here to fix your inverter. I'll give the panels a clean at the same time. All of a sudden, it's $400 or $500 that our customer, who's bought the inverter in the first place, they can bill their customer $400 or $500 to do that repair. But if there's a full 10-year warranty and the manufacturer is only paying $160, well, you guys have seen what the wages are out there at the moment. It costs $160 to go to lunch these days. It's
maybe a bit more, Kosta. Sorry, Karl, to interject.
It depends what place you're going. Like, look, occasionally you can get the barn knee to get a quick sort of $10 pork roll, but there's some places that a bit more finer dining. But Wagga, we went, Karl, with those beautiful steaks, and like, you would have think you get such nice food like so far away from home, but that was a pretty nice meal there. Gotta love some red meat.
It's incredible, and I mean, at the end of the day, it costs a lot of money to buy anything. Take the family out; it's still expensive. Pizza's $25 from our local pizza shop these days. But all I'm getting at, aside from the cost of meals and bits and pieces, is that the amount of money that the inverter manufacturers are paying for these swaps. We've got this COVID problem where people are effectively getting COVID 6 weeks, 8 weeks apart, 7 days off. 8 weeks, 7 days off, 8 weeks, 7 days off. At the end of the day, we think inflation's going crazy now. It's going to be absolutely bonkers if all of a sudden, we've got to have 35 days off a year for COVID leave. businesses have to pay for that somewhere. That's a direct cost. So everything's going to, the $160 is just bullshit.
Coming back to your point about the cost of replacing inverters and servicing them, I spoke to an inverter manufacturer this week who said that they will replace with new ones, even if the unit is capable of being refurbished, because the return trip cost on the freight, plus the call-out fees, plus the QA and all the stuff that they need to do to assess the broken one and fix it, it's actually more cost-effective for them to replace it. Now, Fronius have a solution that's more easily serviced, but not all inverter manufacturers do. Coming back to the warranties, we're offering really long warranties. Our encouragement to companies has been that you're not just selling solar. It was solar and batteries, and now you're not just selling solar and batteries. You're coaching customers to electrify everything from stovetops to hot water so that they can be fully electrified. But you look at the warranties on this stuff on EV car chargers, 2 years, on smart meters, 2 years, on lots of electrical components. You guys are saying new car, what's that, 5 years, 3 to 5 years. Solar panels, 40 years.
Yeah, so that is a really good one, the electric car charger. I think that potentially, well, Finn said in his review that the car charger that he purchased had been serviced or repaired 4 times in the year that he'd owned it. 2 years is something that costs, more than $2,000 for the consumer installed, $2,500, $3,000 for a fancy one that does all singing, all dancing. I'm thinking that manufacturers of these products are going to be in a bit of trouble when customer says, "Hey, 2 years isn't going to cut it." They need better warranties than that. I think that there's absolutely no reason it shouldn't have a similar warranty to a solar inverter. Sure,
it's a matter of time, you reckon?
Look, just 2 years is just not enough. So if obviously a fancy charger versus a dumb charger, if a dumb charger's $700 and a fancy charger's $1,700 and the thing breaks in 2 years, it takes 20 years for that smart piece of kit to pay for itself in following your energy consumption and ramping up and down the power to the car. That gap takes 20 years to pay for itself, and a 2-year warranty is just not enough. Here's me complaining about 10-year warranties on inverters being too long, but on the same token, 2 years on a car charge is not enough.
So what's going on with solar cutters? We've got obviously All Energies coming up, and there's going to be a big shindig there.
Yeah. So we're working. We booked in a venue for the networking drinks / some awards, like we sort of did 3 years ago since the last time we had All Energy. So it's not the 25th of October, the night before All Energy on the Tuesday, at Melbourne Public. So it's just sort of next door to the exhibition centre, Boat Builders Yard. Then keep walking away from Crown, and there's a couple of venues there, and Melbourne Public's right there on your left. So look, we're pretty sort of excited about that. But look, from our perspective, I guess for the next sort of phase, what we want to do is, I guess, try to educate and support the installer network a bit more, whether that's through training or roadshows from ourselves or partnering up with manufacturers or other bodies, I guess, to deliver the content. That's sort of the plan. Education, I guess, and getting that messaging out there of cutter spec and high quality solar solutions, a big thing of what we're about. You can imagine it's challenging juggling this sort of stuff with our full-time jobs, but look, Jack and I are pretty passionate, and that's, I guess, what motivates us to keep digging in and supporting the industry, and I guess leaving a little bit of a legacy for all of us. I guess want only the best for this industry, and I guess that's what Cutters is all about. And obviously, like we were sort of speaking earlier, the events and the junkets per se and all that sort of stuff, bring all the people together. That's something what Cutters, I guess, really successful at. And so we'll hope to sort of see another 400 plus crowd at the event, and celebrating each other, celebrating the good things about the industry, because in reality it has been a challenging 6 to 12 months for a lot of companies. It's been hard to make a buck. That's the reality. Wholesales really struggled, manufacturers really struggled, retailers have definitely been selling systems at cheaper price than they would have desired. So everyone's been tightening their belts. So in bringing everyone together and I guess celebrate the good times, because we are in a really positive industry and the only way is up. And as sort of John Grimes was telling you guys, like what would it grow 3 times something, Karl, he was saying as an industry?
Yeah, we need to grow by a factor of 3. And we always talk about cost of gear and exchange rates and so on the podcast. And yet we're still going around seeing customers, and some of them have got empty warehouses and 3 or 4 sales guys on the road. And you're just like, this is a huge risk for your business to not have the stock secured already. Selling stuff and then buying a kit later down the line, I think at this point in time is quite risky. We try and get people to keep stock, and the guys that are in the and buy their gear on a day-to-day basis need to be making sure that they can buy stuff. Well, Longy 370s ran out, so I'm told, in the country last week. And, of course, Longy effectively dumped that stock on the market well below cost of the gear. And, of course, customers say to me, "Oh, Karl, do you know if I can get Longy 370s anywhere?" And you're like, mate, they haven't made them for 6 months. Once they're gone, they're gone. And, of course, the gap to the next panel's 6 cents. Big difference.
Yeah, I guess, but like it says sort of here with a conversation about educating the installer and the retailer, like it's been a false economy for a long time, and manufacturers and wholesalers can't keep carrying the weight. Not that they're going to rip the ass out of the price, but the reality is, like, high-end Chinese product is, if you're buying it now, it's landing in Australia for essentially close to, will that mention pricing or not?
Preferably not. But the point is that the message has been going out to everyone, including the just-in-time guys, that pricing is going up and an indication of where it's going up. Some of those guys kick back and say, no, well, I can still buy it at this price, that price. And it's like, well, yeah, it's going up. And that's what Liam was saying on the Great Solar Business podcast, is that the bigger guys have more predictability in what they're doing than the guys who are buying it in. But those just-in-time guys, if they didn't get the message, or they're still selling based on the price they could buy, use the example, Longy 370s a month ago, then they're going to be in trouble. They either need to cancel contracts, amend contracts, or lose money.
Indeed. And some of those bigger businesses that do business directly with manufacturers, that's great. We get great pricing. We cut out the middleman, the wholesaler, and then hang on, the price goes up. Oh, shit, we've got to pay for that now. A wholesaler's got 6 months worth of, or 3 months worth of stock on the shelf. But because I've got this direct relationship, I have to pay new money straight away. Shit. There's some interesting dynamics out there that, I heard another large commercial installer in Melbourne shut up shop, done. That was Piranha Energy. I heard has...
What's the reason, Karl?
Good question. We're in an environment where every day we see on the news that power prices are going up. We're reading in the media that wholesale power prices are going ballistic. And you've got commercial installers that are packing it up and closing their businesses down. That doesn't make any sense at all, unless you can't get labour. So this is another thing that's come up recently. I spoke to an installer in Perth, and he said he can't get installers to do 2-story jobs. They just don't want to do them. So historically, he had thrown a Powerwall in there and said to those 2-story customers, well, obviously sold them a Powerwall, which is a decent carrot for an installer, get paid good money to do something that's pretty basic, really. He could use that as a bit of leverage. Look, I'll throw in there's a Powerwall on that job. Yeah, okay, I'll do the 2 stories. But when you can't get Powerwalls, can't do 2-story jobs, can't do any jobs, all of a sudden shortage of gear is crippling, particularly in WA. Obviously, the feed-in tariff's 3/5 of stuff all, and if you have a larger than 5 actually any system now that you put on, you're limited to a 63 amp single phase supply and a 32 amp 3-phase supply. So batteries are very, very popular over there, and we can't get them.
It's not just batteries. Like, try buy a car, try buy anything at the moment. Like, it's still there's a lot of challenges everywhere.
Kosta, what sort of advice have you been given to your customers when, not just this time, but when prices are moving around and everything else? What sort of advice do you give to your customers?
From my perspective, and I have been challenged this before by different employers, that they sort of said, "Oh, you work for me, you don't work for the customer." From my perspective, I always felt that I was an extension of the customer's business, And I guess any intel or information that I could sort of provide, like whether it's, okay, the panel manufacturer told us the price is going up next month, so load up now while you can. We've got some cheaper stock, buy it. So I guess and that's what we were saying before about the relationships. You wouldn't obviously tell everybody about that, but the ones that you spoke with, you got along with well, you've had a lot of business dealings with them, and obviously some had personal dealings with them, they'd be the first ones to sort of you call and explain, like, hey, look, I've got a hot tip for you. This is what's going to happen. This is what the Chinese manufacturers are telling us. This is what's happening with shipping or whatever it is. Get on now while you can. And look, at these sort of, I guess, gestures, of course, they're appreciated, but there's not, you wouldn't say would happen everywhere across the industry or other industries. And I guess if people can see that you've got their back, which you generally do, they'll learn to appreciate and respect you a lot more. And look, it could be potentially for the slight detriment of the wholesaler in our case for the short term, but from my perspective, the argument always was like, it's always bigger picture, it's always longer term. We're not going for the quick sale and the quick buck. It's about building long-term, strong, loyal relationships, and that's something that's not easy. But yeah, like we've all got some really strong ones that we've nurtured and built for many years, and there's sort of things like this is what makes, I guess, stands us apart from many of our competition, I guess. We're not always Nostradamus either, like things can change pretty quickly, as we saw last year with the bloody panel prices, and panel manufacturer giving everyone 24 hours notices on pricing, and we're trying to sort of close some deals, do some deals, buy some stock, and it's no one had any sort of visibility or certainty what you could sell stock for that next week, the next month, or 2 months later. So it's
I'll tell you where you're not Nostradamus when it comes to foreign exchange. So you get all the different factors and pull them together and make an educated guess, and typically it's going to go the opposite direction.
And that's the thing, like it's sort of, it's gambling, and like a lot of us wholesales and businesses do it, but it's, you can sort of read and sort of read the tea leaves and have some educated opinion about it. But yeah, like it's turned the negative just as much as it's sort of worked out in the positive way. So it's, look, I don't envy the guys that are business owners who've run some of these businesses, because from a wholesale perspective, you're buying stock months and months in advance, and a lot of the time the currency is where the margin is, and if you've got to know when to buy right or when to lock in your USD, and that's something that's I don't want to say it's a skill, like I don't think it is, like it's pretty much it's an educated guess, it's gambling.
And you're about to transition from wholesale into retail. How much is that going to help you that you have that background knowledge?
I think so, and as I've sort of said to the guys at the supply partners and some of the wholesalers, manufacturers, like I've obviously got an idea what some of the stuff costs, so don't think you're going to try to rip me off now. But look, I think it will, and it's exciting and a new challenge to sit on the other side of the fence, I guess. Procure and purchase the stock as opposed to sort of selling it. But yeah, it's nice sort of have less pressure in a way to do sales as opposed to finding the best purchasing channel for the business.
It'd be good just for you to have a new challenge, though.
Absolutely, yeah. Like you can't just go around having junkets every sort of few months, and you got to start taking your life a bit seriously. Like I'm 33 now. Like I've in 2012 I started, so you're 10 years. So I started when I was 23, and you look, that first day at Apollo Energy, I was pretty much crying at lunchtime. I went to an Asian place, I had some noodles or something. I was sitting there, called my partner, my parents, saying, "This is shit. Like, what have I gotten myself into? Like, how?"
What was it? The technical side of it, or what was the?
Not necessarily. Like, it's such a big reality channel. I worked at a bank before that. I guess front of office stuff. Like, you've got to deal with a lot of people, like relationship sort of stuff, which I really enjoyed. And this sort of side of things was like, what the hell? Like, the first interview went okay, and the second interview, Walker and Todd pretty much just offered it to me without sort of no questions asked. I've come from a marketing background. Not that I don't know if I've ever really talked about with you guys, so I wasn't necessarily looking for a sales sort of job. But look at sort of me now, like 10 years later, and I love it. Like, and I want more and more and more of it. And what keeps you in? Obviously, we're in a fantastic industry. We all agree. We're really excited what the future can hold. We're making a real difference, but it's the people, and like ultimately that, I guess, what drives me, and I think a lot of people in life is personally and professionally, is those relationships, and that's what get you up every morning. You can deal with people. You can hang out with people. You can speak to people you generally care for and respect. And that's a great thing about industry. I guess it's underappreciated. And that's, I guess, with the solar cutter stuff is bringing all these type of people together so they can meet like-minded people and get to know each other together. Like a lot of these events we've done and trips everyone's sort of done in industry, it's introduced people to others they might not have. And even in terms of for collaboration, for lead referral, for whatever aspect they could benefit from, but it's allowed people, I guess, see the same things and feel the same way, get better together. And that's, I guess, a real exciting thing and admirable thing, and couldn't be prouder. And don't see me leaving anytime soon. So look, unless the Essendon Football Club needs a senior coach or anything sort of near that, on the boundary and the box on game day, I see myself in solar for a long time. At the moment, it's going great, and that's all you can live the moment and enjoy it while you can, because, life and things can change pretty quickly.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up soon. Is there anything else you want to cover off or sign off, or Karl, any further questions?
No, not really, mate. Pretty casual this episode. We covered plenty of stuff. I don't even know what you're going to call it.
I don't either, man. Like, not a whole lot of thought goes into it.
But it's too natural and it sort of flows too easily, like just us sort of talking, like, because we know each other so well.
Yeah, exactly.
Shooting the solar breeze with a solar cutter. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, like it's
Junkets 101 with Kosta.
Junkets is a whole episode, and like maybe that can be a pay for subscription release. Like it's some of that stuff is interesting, but yeah, like that's the stuff you want to hear.
I mean, I don't want to publish some of the best stories that have come.
No way.
All right, Kosta, that's all we've got time for today. So during the break, you're off to Europe, is that right?
Actually going to go to Singapore and the Maldives. I'm going to go check out the REC factory. So I was never allowed to go when you guys were going around there when we were at Energy Matters and Apollo. So yeah, it's first time to check out REC. So pretty pumped to see that. And then off to the Maldives. So yeah, the wife's going to love getting a tour of REC on her honeymoon.
Just send her to Orchard Road, do some shopping while you go there.
Yeah, exactly. Give her the Amex and like let her go.
But that's really good, man. Probably a well-deserved break. You're one of the hardest working guys in the industry. Look forward to catching up in Melbourne at the Solar Cutters event and everything else going on. Thanks for coming on, mate. Really good to chat to you, as always.
Always good to chat with you guys. And yeah, look, all the best. And yeah, we'll definitely bump into each other sometime soon and keep going with these things. It's great. You got some great people on them, and hopefully we entertain people for an hour. And good luck for the next couple.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, Kosta. Ciao.
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe, follow, or share it around to someone who might get benefit. Thanks again.